Hi, it's RT from Brown Bear Herbs. I'm going to talk to you today about Lady Luck. This is one of my herbal smoking blends, and it is made with mullein, linden, agrimony, and pearly everlasting. The herbs, the last three herbs, are lucky herbs, and I wanted this to be, this is my take on like a lucky strike or something like that. It's a seasonal smoke, so it's sometimes available and sometimes not. It is $5 from each pack sold goes to the Malala Fund to help support educating girls in places where that's not very easily come by. So it helps with that. And the reason why I picked that is because on the drawdown, that I think was like number 6, like educating girls and women is like one of the top ways to reduce the impact of climate change and to impact climate change positively. So I was thinking of it as a twist instead of being about this, superficial girl on your arm who gets makes you feel lucky at the casino, or a tattoo of a lady who's supposed to be lucky on your arm, who's also just like a two-dimensional, who is a two-dimensional figure. Instead of that, thinking about like how if we lift the women up in our lives, which includes each other, so no gossiping, infighting, and competition among women would be really lovely. Be a dream come true. And working in other places where people are less fortunate, to provide education and family planning support with human rights for women, and paying living wages. That's another thing people need. So and that in turn impacts climate change, Mother Earth getting more lucky. So that's why I made it, and it was fun for me to make. So I did a video recently on Instagram, and later I was talking to one of the plants, doing plant communication, and the plant, I asked it what it thought, and it said I had not expressed enough of my own personal experience. So I was like, thank you very much. And I decided I would take each of the herbs individually for 3 days each. And I think that I'll do longer stretches with some of them. I have a lot of experience with Agrimony already. I've used it for a really long time, probably not 20 years, but getting close to that. I started using it for stomach issues. It's known to be helpful for irritable bowel syndrome, which I used to have, and it did resolve that pretty quickly, I'd say maybe after several months or something like that. But it's like the signature with, there's different herbs for tummy trouble, but the signature for, or the defining psychological characteristic tends to be that of Agrimony is, walled off emotions, putting a smile on your face when you're struggling, probably not communicating about your pain because you're just trying to put on a good face. And it's really commonly used for alcoholism, and it's used for asthma. I do have a history of asthma, but I never used it for asthma, and I don't have a history of alcoholism, but I know that is definitely like a good use for Agrimony. Or really getting to like the underlying issues there. But that's not the lucky stuff. So I'll get to that. I just really love Agrimony, and I think it's really beneficial. So I want you to know a little bit more about it. So in terms of the lucky stuff, Agrimony tends to be good for when you feel like you're in between a rock and a hard place. And that usually pertains to legal issues, excuse me, and money problems and work problems. So if you feel like like a lot of times with the job, you might feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you need money, you need the job, but there's problems at the job. So, but it's like, it's more than that. It has like so it tends to have a way of like unlocking, like you feel like you're jammed in a spot, but like new avenues tend to show up that you weren't expecting. And I think part of that is like releasing your talking. It is really good for anything job related. Like I used to take it like every single time I had a job interview, and I would always get the job. And one time I went to the job interview and I didn't talk about, it was a nursing job, and I didn't talk about nursing the entire time. They just asked me all these questions about, oh, you used to teach yoga, oh, you're into dreams, like all that stuff. And I was like, this is the weirdest thing. And then I got the job, which was great. So it's helpful for that. But I think it's something about kind of releasing you to talk about what's really important to you, and that being compelling to people. Definitely freeing up energy. It's a really good herb. So it's in my This Is a Dream tea to kind of help like make waking time more creative and lucid, and kind of more like, I'd say that this kind of luck feels more like, if you go to the sorry, I must be a little tired today. If you go to like a vintage store, you do better if you don't have a specific thing in mind. I mean, of course, if you're like looking for a job, you want a job. But I think in general with manifesting, it really helps to not have too specific of goals. So you might want a partner, or you might want a job, or you might want to like do an art project or something like that, or a community project or protest or something like that. But by being more focused on the goal and how you want to feel, I think that's the most important thing. I do recall past lives, and I've found that now I may later decide that this is not the wisest thing I ever said. Who knows, as I have grow in life, but it seems like the most important thing is the feelings behind things. So if you're, it's less important what you achieve than how you feel when you achieve it. I think it's a very simple way to say it. And that seems like a pretty easy idea, but my experience is that the strong emotions, like holding on to strong emotions, is detrimental. And so if you're just trying to manifest a specific thing, like this particular job, you might be selling yourself short, because maybe that job is really not going to make you feel good, or it's not a good fit, or, they're going to get shut down from the pandemic or whatever in 2 weeks or something like that. So, that's just some things about. So it's in the This Is a Dream tea, and to help you see that like waking time can be more flexible than you think, which is inspiring. It's also in Workers' Woes tea, which I sell at the brownbearherbs.com, and so that is more specifically for all work problems, and it has a few other herbs for work problems in it. Okay, but in this blend, it's like primarily looking at the luck, and I would say it's for if you're trying to change luck, that's probably not terrible, because you're already in a position of having something, but that something has been compromised. Like you have a job, but it's uncomfortable, or you had something enough that you have a legal situation about it now, or you. So I feel like that's kind of a moderate place to be in the world, needing agrimony. And then Linden, I did take that. I took them each for 3 days. I took that one. And that one is considered used historically for love medicine and justice. Generally used to inspire peace and harmony. So it's different than the agrimony, where it's kind of like getting you out of a bind. In this case, it's trying to help people look at the different sides from a more just, peaceful type of way, is my hunch about that and the way it seems to be used historically. And then for marriage and family life, to bring in more sweetness and peace and gentleness. And I did feel like it helped me connect more with more peaceful, kind of loving, innocent feelings. I would say this is probably when you already have like some amount of abundance in your life to build on, but you could take it for a long road and see how much it transforms your life. So I think I might try more of that, because it's a really, have a lot of sweetness to it in its energy, and I enjoyed that. The one I had the biggest impact from this time was Pearly Everlasting, also known as rabbit tobacco. And that was actually the plant that told me that I needed to do more of my experiences. So, and it's something that, it's an herb that I've been thinking about, like kind of puzzled by for a while. It is also used for asthma, lung issues, congenital issues, weakened state from birth. It's a rabbit medicine, if you're into animal medicine. And it is an herb that you harvest in wintertime after it has died. The plant has died. But it's like it hasn't died, because it still has this amazing fragrance in the winter. So that's why it has this everlasting quality, because even when it's dried, it's like really beautiful fragrance. So I had this really cool dream about it, and it helped me understand it. So I'll tell you the dream briefly. I was at my present house, except for instead of it looking the way it does now, it looked like a rectangular, kind of like 3-foot deep mud pool. My daughter were in it, and we were trying to have a good time, and we were trying to invite people over, and all this, and it just we weren't having much luck with that. And for some reason, I was kind of guided to honor both the sorrow and the joy that had come before me in the home. And I didn't need to know the details of what that was referring to. And I just did that. So I just, without knowing anything, I just said, I honor the sorrow and the joys that came before me in this home. And then immediately it became much more like the house I'm in now. Not quite as exciting as it is, but at least it was a home, an empty home that we could play in. And then one of our old pets showed up. Anyway, so I really liked that, because I was like, this is a plant that's about like wintertime magic. So it's looking at the rest of the world around it is kind of in a state of devastation in a certain way. I mean, winter is a natural part of life, but it's the harshest time of year in a lot of ways. So, how do you either become lucky or appreciate maybe the luck you have? How does that, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I just didn't need to know exactly how it works. I needed to honor both the sorrow and the joy that came before. And then as I did that, as I thought about that after waking, I was like, oh, I always wondered why the people who own the house I rent didn't just sell, because they could have made a lot of money during the height of the housing market. And then I was like, maybe they didn't really want to leave. Maybe they still wish they could be here. But whatever it is, just honoring that, maybe they do have some resentment that they have to rent it and that I'm here, even if they don't really know me. So that was really valuable. And then I thought, there's like a million areas of my life where I think that would be beneficial. So, and that goes for like native peoples that lived on this land before us. Like, maybe we don't need to, it's good to know history for sure. But even when we can't let's say we can't know exactly what has happened to all the people who have lived in a place before us. We can still, honor what joys and sorrows they've experienced, or in our lineage, our family, or in our relationship, or so many other things. Even in our own bodies, we can look at our own bodies and we can be like, I honor the sorrows and the joys that have come before this moment. And I think in a way that kind of just like refreshes the scene a little bit, to be like, yes, your voice, whatever that voice is, has been heard. And now we can be more present right now because the past is not calling to us. And that's kind of, winter is this turning point where we can either, look back regretfully or nostalgically on the past, or we can be like fixated on the future. But there can be abundance in the here and now. So I thought that was beautiful, and also something more akin to finding luck in very austere situations or situations of great scarcity. That's kind of part of the rabbit medicine, where they have in the congenital weakness kind of aspect of it, where you kind of don't have much from the beginning. So I was very grateful to Rabbit Tobacco, or Pearly Everlasting, for prompting me to think more about my experience with that herb and to start having more experiences with that herb. And I did notice some things shifting around me in my life that I liked. Having trouble thinking of them right now, but I definitely noticed things kind of moving around over those 9 days. And I thought it was, so I would encourage you to try the herbs singularly or in the smoke or in teas. The Pearly Everlasting is just available in the smoke. The Linden is also in Clear Mind. And I already told you about the Agrimony, if one of them resonates more with you. And pay attention to your feelings inside. Like, are you noticing that you're talking more? Are you noticing that you're talking more about sweeter things, more heartfelt things, more innocent things? Are you thinking more like giving gratitude? Could you use that practice in your life and see how it changes things? And I think even doing it on a thought level, like looking at your parents or something and just thinking to them, I honor the sorrow and joys that we had. Because you know what? There's never a situation, like a long-term situation, that doesn't have both sorrows and joys. And part of feeling like we have good luck is gratitude. So a little bit of gratitude medicine in there, or maybe a lot. Again, this smoke goes, $5 goes to the Malala Fund, and so far we've given over $500, which is awesome, and actually goes that's one time when I feel like $500 is kind of a lot of money, because that could actually really help a lot of people with books and other study materials, whereas like we do one donation for Racist Texas, which is like going towards getting ICE detainees out of the border prisons. I don't know if they're calling them prisons, but it's pretty much what it is. And that is like so much more expensive, to pay for legal services, even if they're at a reduced rate. So I really like the cigarette, and I hope that you try it, have a little fun, and see how you feel.